I want to discuss body copy. On the Papa's Pizzeria menu, body copy is the item description set in black serif typeface. When you're working with body copy, you want to make sure that your body copy falls somewhere between 9 and 12 points. That's pretty standard. So I'm in Acrobat. If I go to Edit PDF and I highlight this text, I can see that my font is 11 points. And that's an easily readable size. So body copy should just be large enough that it's comfortable to read, but not so large that it looks like a headline, or it looks like it's shouting at you, or it's taking up a lot of space, and not so small that you're kind of straining to read it. As far as the restaurant menu project, you have to take into consideration that this is designed for print. So right now I'm looking at this on my screen at a 58% size, which is very small. And I have a pretty small screen, so as I'm working on it, I'm probably going to rarely be looking at it at 100% size as if I was holding the printed piece in my hand. So it's very easy to lose track or lose sight of what your body copy or any of your text is going to look like when it's printed out and somebody's holding it at a normal reading distance. You also have to consider your audience. Depending on the restaurant, especially if it's a higher end restaurant, you might have a lot of older folks who need reading glasses. You also have to consider the fact that most restaurants have dim lighting, and consider the fact that things look brighter on your screen than they do in print. Your screen is projecting light from behind the monitor, and the light is kind of coming from within, whereas printed pieces are produced using ink, which depends on light that's being reflected. So if it's a dim environment, then it's going to be harder to read. So another thing about body text being between 9 and 12 points is that it allows you to take advantage of the full typographic hierarchy. If my body copy is 14 points, then the subheads have to become 18 points, then everything else has to become even larger. This is 36 points here. My name of my pizza shop is 100 points. My price and size information is 10 points. So when we look at some other examples, on this menu the body copy is looking a little bit small. And actually, there's no real body copy in the sense that there aren't paragraph descriptions, but these little item names here are kind of equivalent. So if I go to click on one of these, and I see that that's a 9-point font, which falls within the range of 9 to 12 points, but we have to also consider the typeface. So this typeface is Baskerville. And if I zoom in on it, I can see that the height of the lowercase letters is considerably less in proportion to the height of the uppercase letters or these lowercase letters that have ascenders, which means that even if this is 9 points, it's going to look quite a bit smaller. It's going to look more like maybe 7 points, which is a little bit on the small side. So for this one, I would recommend going a little bit larger, maybe 10 or 11 points if using a font like Baskerville. Now at the other extreme is this menu, in which all of the type is extremely large. So if I click on one of these items, I see that just the name of the product is 25 points, which that is a size that you should reserve for something like a headline or a large subhead. And then if I click on this descriptive text, that's 20 points. So it's really large, and it doesn't give a lot of room for creating that nice hierarchy. And when I look at this at 100%, let's try that. Go to 100%. That's really large. So it's a little bit uncomfortable to just read basic descriptive information at a kind of a headline size. And it also means that you're losing a lot of room here that could be used for leading. So a little bit of a spacing between these items would help a lot in the readability and just the comfort level when viewing this menu. So thinking about font sizes can be a little bit tricky because to me visually it looks like this script style text that is being used for the category descriptions is smaller. Visually it's smaller than the item descriptions, where to me it should be larger. But when I click on this and check the size, I see that my item descriptions are 25 points, but these descriptions are 35 points. So these are actually larger than these, but visually they look smaller. So the font sizes are a guideline. It just depends on the design of a particular font. But in general, if you want to create a good hierarchy, you're going to want to have your, in terms of at least this menu design, restaurant name should be larger, which it is. A category of items should be smaller than that. The item names themselves should be even smaller than that. And visually, not mathematically, again, these are 25 points, these are 35 points. So technically this is larger than that, but not visually. And then the item descriptions would be even smaller than that. And I would say, they should be significantly smaller or noticeably smaller, not just slightly smaller. So visually, to me, it looks like the item and the description are just a little bit different in size. And I would like to see a little bit more. So we have these three extremes here. We've got really large text, really small text, and this is about a normal kind of a standard size. So going forward, my advice is to really pay attention to this typographic hierarchy. Make sure that your body text does not get too large or too small. Again, 9 to 12 points is a good rule of thumb, but the exact size is going to depend on the specific typeface design that you use. And so for your book jacket designs, you're going to want to keep that in mind. Any body copy, like an author bio or a book summary that would go on the flap, again, depending on the typeface that you've chosen, you're going to want to keep it between 9 and 12 points. The next project, project 4, is also going to require some body text, and you're going to want to make sure that you keep that within that 9 to 12 point range. When it comes to designing for print, you always want to make printouts of your work so that you can understand how the reader is going to actually experience it. Is the text too large? Is it too small? Is the leading too tight? Is it too much? Are the line lengths too long? Are they too short? Is the font that you've chosen, is it easy to read or hard to read? All of these things are impossible to be sure of if you only ever view your print designs on screen.